As a rock guitar player, it's always and a composer. I actually started studying composition and writing music before I started playing the guitar. I was very young, and wrote my first orchestra score. I think I was 15, and was always fascinated with the process of composition and having a blank piece of paper and hearing stuff in your head and having this unbelievable palette of instruments to choose from to create textures and blends and melodies. That has always been my idea of a good time. And but it is very difficult to get your music performed when you're writing, compositional symphonic music and you're a rock guitar player. So for many years, I just wrote and wrote, but it wasn't until probably about around 2000-ish where I started to have more intimate communications with orchestras and performances, and it turned out great, and still is great. And this concert that I have coming up on Saturday, March 11th at Disney Hall, where we're performing 4 of my pieces, is just an absolute privilege. It's an honor to have your pieces performed. First of all, for being at Disney Hall. I've been going there since it was built. We've been going there, subscription and everything, and then to be able to play with the American Youth Orchestra. I've played with a good amount of orchestras around the world, but this having a youthful orchestra really gives a different kind of a life to the music itself, because as always, young people are usually a little more adventurous. They can be very passionate and focused about learning something that's challenging. And that's what you need when you're playing contemporary music. So the pieces of mine that are being performed were chosen by the conductor of the American Youth Symphony, Carlos Izcaray. And he's a wonderful guy, and he's actually pretty familiar with my catalog. And the first piece he chose was one called There's Something Dead in Here. Now, this was a piece of music that I composed for like 12 guitars about 35 years ago. And I wrote it and recorded it, and it appears on my Flexible record. It's a very atonal, rhythmically, terribly complex piece of music, but it creates a particular feeling that I was looking for. And then years later, I had the opportunity to orchestrate it for an orchestra because the North Netherlands Orchestra in Holland was interested in playing it. So I did an orchestration, and then it went over so well that we ended up being invited to have this piece performed various other times. So I wanted to beef up the orchestration and brought it up to a 70 piece with more symphonic instruments. And that's the arrangement that will be performed. And it's a very dense, atonal, contemporary piece of music. But hey, that's how I roll. The second piece we will probably be performing is called Kill the Guy with the Ball. And this was a high-energy thrash guitar piece of music that was recorded and released on my Alien Love Secrets record. And it was nice to kind of imagine what an orchestra would sound like performing this bloody piece of music. And so I did an orchestration, condensed it a bit. It's been performed many times, and it's always turned out really great, very high energy. The third piece of music is called The Murder, Prologue, which is a short piece that was written by myself and David Cole, who actually orchestrated the piece. And another piece of mine called The Murder. I don't know what it is with all these death names. It's like the only songs in my catalog like that, but I don't know, that they were chosen. And so that piece, The Murder, is very nice orchestrated, very open for a lot of crazy guitar playing. And what I really like when I'm composing, especially with the guitar playing, is to create these tonal centers where the guitar's melodies shift the tonal center on top of what's going on underneath. So The Murder is chock full of that. And then there's a beautiful piece of music that also appears on my first solo record called Call It Sleep. And I originally did this is more of a guitar ballad, and I haven't even performed it for many years. But I did do an orchestration for it in the 90s when I was performing with the Rochester Eastman School of Music Orchestra. And back then, you know, composing was a little different than it is now as far as all the tools that you have at your disposal. So when I finally had that piece of music typed into a computer, a manuscript program, Finale, I was able to really hear some of the things that I thought would be nice to change. And so I kind of gave it a facelift and reorchestrated it for a more robust instrumentation for this Disney Hall concert with the American Youth Symphony that's coming up. And I think that's going to be very nice. So it's kind of a well-rounded, interesting show, and that's basically the pieces that I'll be performing, and a little bit of info on those pieces. And there you have it.